Welcome to Seth's Daily Podcast. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. I thank you guys for subscribing. We have paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, uh, Matt Bevan supporter, Joe Clark. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. I'm it's an honor to have you on, and everything that you do is good. Besides being a Matt Bevan supporter.
Sorry, brother. I'm a huge Matt Bevan fan. I'm hoping he runs for governor again in 2023.
I would rather have him in than the complete lunatic that we got in right now. But I won't even start that talk. The guy we got in right now is a complete dumbass. But
we're sort of on the same side of the political spectrum, just a little difference, but
yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I'd rather have Matt Bevan in there than Andy Beshear any day. I mean, I think anybody that has any brain cells would agree with that statement.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Andy, I just don't agree with him on anything.
I do agree with him on a little bit of things as far as like I think he's done a decent job of handling COVID.
I think he has good intentions. He just goes about things completely wrong. And like I said, I don't agree with him on anything at all.
I agree with him on about like one or two things, but that's pretty much it. But there's some Republicans that I also agree with. Well, Republicans that are really have Democratic views. But man, I don't want to get talking on politics because people hate me talking about politics. So let's get talking about ghost hunting, man.
Let's do it, brother.
What is the scariest place that you have ghost hunted, man, that has put chills all through your body, man?
I have never been scared on a paranormal investigation. I get this question all the time. What's the most scariest place you've been? I've never been scared on a paranormal investigation by anything paranormal. The most haunted place I've ever investigated is the Coal Miners Museum in Van Lear, Kentucky. And I don't care what time, day or night you go into that building, you're going to experience something paranormal. But as far as being scared, no, I never have. Not saying that it can't happen or won't happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I definitely understand that as a former ghost hunter. I never really got scared, but I mean, seeing a ghost has definitely put chills through your body. Like not like scared chills, like literally chills from them touching you because they're so cold with their energy and stuff.
Hey, if anybody's going to get touched on a paranormal investigation, it's going to be me. I'll just tell you, it happens to me quite often.
Have you been to that theater in Santiana, Kentucky?
I have. I was there back in December, actually.
Oh, that man, that their owner's a great guy. He let me come in there for free on my birthday when I was about 13 years old, and
Yeah,
he let me stay the whole entire night.
Yeah, they're
Man,
great.
yeah, Roger's a great guy, man. It was awesome. Actually, he's gonna be on the podcast in a couple weeks.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't. If you ever ghost hunted there, for anybody who hasn't, you know that there's some spirit. There's like one dark spirit that comes around. You can feel it. I don't know if you felt that too.
When we did the investigation there in December, not much happened. We had a few experiences. My biggest, when it comes to the Roz Opera House, is in the paranormal was, I used to be heavily involved in the Elvis tribute artist circuit, and some of my Elvis tribute artist friends that did some shows there, and they had paranormal experiences while they were performing in the building, and I just happened to be there for the shows. One guy was on stage performing, and as plain as day, he saw an apparition of a young woman sitting in the front row of the show. She was sitting over to stage right on the front row, and he said she just appeared out of nowhere and sat there for a few minutes and watched part of the show, and then just vanished and cleared in midair. And then another Elvis tribute artist was upstairs one night. He was getting ready, to go on, and he was in the dressing area, and I was up there with him, and all right, and I just walked into his dressing room, and this has been several years ago, but I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, the conversation went something like, "Joe, is this building haunted?" And I'm like, I don't know. What did you experience something? He said, "Yeah." He said, all of a sudden, this room, this was in the middle of the summer. He said, all of a sudden, this room just got ice cold. And he said, I felt like something was watching me. And so, yeah, there's definitely paranormal activity there.
Absolutely, man. It's not the most haunted place I've ever been to. I mean, I've been to Perryville, which is also another place where you definitely feel like you're watched, man. Perryville, you feel like somebody's watching every move you make. And we actually caught a voice on EVP. We couldn't tell what it was saying, but it was kind of like a mumble type thing. But we caught a voice just randomly just recording on a ghost walk.
Perryville was one of the first places I started investigating, or first places I investigated when I started investigating with Kentucky Shadow Chasers back in 2006.
Are you still part of that organization?
I was. We investigated Perryville twice, and the first time we were there, it was my mind just went blank. It was the first time we was there. It was like in the middle of the summer, and myself and one of the other investigators, we were out on the battlefield part, and we just right in front of us, we saw shadow figures just going everywhere. And then one, somebody took a photo of my arm because I was feeling a cold spot around one arm, and they took a photo. And I wish I had this photo, but it got lost over the years. But there was a mist around my arm in the photo, like an ectoplasm type thing. So Perryville is a great place to investigate. I haven't been there since 2008, and I actually had thought about going later on this year sometime, but that's kind of looking not likely to happen as of right now. I got too much going on, but I would love to get back down there sometime.
Oh man, I mean, I've only been there one time as like a 13-year-old kid, man. It was definitely creepy. And I mean, that place, just not even as a ghost hunter, if you're into history and stuff, that place just
Yeah,
great
so much
place.
history there.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's just an awesome place just to go visit and talk to the people that know the history of the land.
Right.
Just to read the statues they have and all that, man. And have you been to the graveyard there? It's very creepy.
I have not.
Yeah, man, that's actually where we caught the voice at. But also, man, this actually, I said that the Opera House had to be the scariest place that I've been to. Well, man, let me let me say it actually wasn't. The most scariest place I've been to is in Bardstown, Kentucky, at the Jailer's Inn. That place is crazy.
I was there in August, actually.
Oh, really?
Very.
Did you have any experiences there? In the we stayed in the garden room, man, and there's supposed to be a little boy in there. I don't know if he died in there or what, but he's like pulls the shower curtain and stuff like in the middle of the night. We were asleep and we caught on video the shower curtain moving.
Yeah, it's definitely haunted. We caught several EVPs or responses with the spirit box, and the final night we investigated it, we were in the detox cell, and we had been doing an EVP
Don't they have
session.
an Elvis cell? Speaking of Elvis,
Yeah, well, there's it was actually the room that we stayed in. It used to be when it was a jail, it was a female jail cell it was a cell for females, and of course now they've made it a room. That's where we stayed, and it's got an Elvis picture in it. But back to, and I'll get to that in a second. But well, we were in the detox cell, and we got an EVP. It says, "I'm right here." It's clear as day, and a Class A EVP, and it was right in the cell with us. And I was like, come on, there's got to be a way to make these things visible, because it was right there in the cell with us. Now, back to your question about the Elvis room. as I stated, this was a jail cell for females back in the day. And now they've made it a guest room, where you can stay. And we were staying in that room, and we had wrapped up for the night and had gone back into the room, and it was just basically playing around. We hadn't got any activity at all in that room up until this. And so we just kind of made our way back there, was kind of chilling out. And one of the guys turned on a voice recorder and just horsing around. And one of the other investigators with us took off his shirt, and jokingly, Todd, who was one of the other investigators, said, "Do you like what you see? And do you like," because Randy took off his shirt, and we got this EVP. It said, "Yeah." So
I bet that guy put his shirt back on after that.
No, he didn't actually. But yeah, that was interesting. I mean,
hey man, we should have had him in here, man, to tell us that story, man, because I bet he pooped his pants.
Oh, it didn't bother him at all, actually. And I said it was an EVP. It was actually a spirit box response. I stand corrected.
Oh, was it a female voice?
Yeah, I think it was actually. But yeah, he was just taking his shirt off, getting ready to chill for the night. And Todd, who was one of the other investigators with us, spoke up and said, "Do you like the fact that Randy's taking off his shirt, or did you like what you?" I can't remember how he worded the question, but yeah, he got a response. Said, "Yeah." So in what used to be a female jail cell, the guy takes off his shirt and get a response about it. So yeah, I love Jailers Inn.
That's creepy, man, for sure. That if you're looking for a very haunted place and not too far away, go to Bardstown, Kentucky. There's also another hotel there, ain't there?
There's Talbot Tavern.
Have you ever stayed there? I haven't. I hear that I have been on a ghost walk there, and there was Patty Starr, who was one of my role models when I was a ghost hunter, and still is one of my role models as a ghost hunter, because you never know, might make a comeback. If I can find the time, I will make a comeback. But Patty Starr asked, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but she asked at that place, which is a bar upstairs in a room, for Jesse James, "If you're here, open the door," and the door is literally open.
Right. I've never investigated the Talbot Tavern. I've been inside it with Patty on her ghost walk, and we got some light responses and that kind of thing in there, but I've never investigated it. I did see some video that she's got out that she caught there, and it's pretty impressive video footage, actually. But like I said, I've never investigated it. We tried, but now they've actually got pretty much the whole thing opened up now for as a hotel bed and breakfast type thing. So in order to investigate it, you have to reserve the whole building. And of course, obviously, that's going to cost a small fortune.
Oh, you can't just get a room and investigate in that room?
I don't think so. I think while we were down there at Jailers Inn, one of the other guys told me, well, it was Todd, actually. Todd said he had checked on it, and in order to do a paranormal investigation, you had to rent the whole building. And obviously that's going to run into a big chunk of change. So we didn't do it.
Yeah. Are you a licensed ghost hunter?
I am certified through Ghost Chasers International, which was Patty Starr's organization. And I had been investigating for years long, before I ever took her class. But in my early days of paranormal investigating, I was a sponge for knowledge, and still am to some degree. But I wanted to learn everything there was to learn. So I decided, you know what, I've been doing this for years, but I still want to take Patty's class. And I did. It was a 2-day course and lasted several hours. And I learned a lot. Even though I had been investigating for years, I learned a lot from Patty. And so, yeah, I'm glad I took that course. And that's one of the bit of advice that if I was giving anybody in the paranormal field or thinking about getting into the paranormal field, learn everything that you can possibly learn. Be a sponge for knowledge.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. I mean, I learned a lot being a ghost hunter for 5 years, and
We're going to get you back into it, brother.
to get the itch back, man, it definitely I mean, I definitely have the itch a little bit, but it's just finding the time for sure.
I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, being a certified ghost hunter would definitely it wouldn't even people don't even make money doing this most of the time, man. It ain't about money. It's about helping people.
There is not any money at all to be made as a paranormal investigator. The only way you're going to make money in the paranormal field is to get lucky, and your chances you got a greater chance of getting struck by lightning. But is to get lucky, land a TV show, and then do personal appearances at conventions and conferences and that kind of thing. That's the only way you're going to make money in the paranormal field. Out here investigating, you're not going to make a dime. Or you may charge a little bit extra, per investigation to help offset some of your expenses, but you're not going to make money.
No. I mean, I never made a dime doing ghost hunting, not even $1.
What you can do is spend a lot of money because
at the hotels like Jeller's Inn. Yeah. Hey, Jeller's Inn has a great breakfast, by the way.
Yeah. Just look at the expenses part of it. You have to buy the equipment, and trust me, paranormal investigating equipment is not cheap, by any means. And then you have your expenses to and from the investigation. If it's a great distance, obviously you're going to have lodging. You're going to have food. And then some of these places, they charge, what they charge to investigate some of these places is quite expensive. Take, for example, the Ohio State Reformatory. The last time I checked, if I remember correctly, it was somewhere around $2,500 to do a private paranormal investigation there through the week. It was more than that on the weekend. So you're going to spend several $1,000s to get involved in the paranormal field, and you're not going to make any of that back.
Yeah. I mean, the Opera House is definitely one of the best places to investigate for sure here in the state of Kentucky. I believe it was on the top 10 most haunted places in Kentucky.
May have been. I can't remember.
That place is crazy, man. When we was in Wondering, we could hear people walking and everything. You hear like the squeak from their shoes.
Right. We were talking about this earlier. The experiences that I had there, or my friends had there, wasn't even during a paranormal investigation.
I got touched there while we did a paranormal investigation, and then we asked, "Did you just touch him?" And it said, "Yeah."
Getting touched is always something that, you're never expecting it. It's happened to me several times.
I've only got touched on the shoulder one time by a ghost.
And I got frisked at the Jailers Inn. We were in the detox cell.
Have you ever had something like a mist go through your hand and stuff? I had a mist go through my hand outside my house. Actually, I've actually told that story. That's actually how I got into ghost hunting. Just a random mist. We was just taking pictures, and a mist just went through me and my cousin's hand.
Yeah. We were at Jailers Inn. We were, of course, in the detox cell. That cell was very haunted. And we were in there, and all of a sudden, something just grabbed the bottom of my leg, like next to my ankle, and then came up to about my knee and run back down. It startled me, because it didn't scare me. It startled me. And I said, whoa, And then I said, here, guys, Randy and Todd were with me. I said, why don't you guys get over here? And Todd stepped over there, and I moved over to the front of the cell, and something touched Todd on the shoulder. I got back to the room that night, and I was laying there in bed just before going to sleep. And then it hit me. Okay, I'm in a jail. And when a guard or a cop puts somebody in jail, what do? The first thing they do, they frisk them to make sure they have no contraband or no weapons. And that's exactly what was going on with me. They run their hands around up and down my leg to make sure I didn't have any weapons. So that was definitely, it caught, like I said, it startled me. It didn't scare me. It startled me. The first time I was ever touched was in an old abandoned house just outside of Somerset. I had gone down with Todd's original group, Supernatural Investigators of Central Kentucky. This was back in 2006, and we were in an old abandoned farmhouse, and I'm not being perverted by any means. Something groped me. And I'm like, whoa, I was not expecting that at all, you know. And come to find out, I was talking to Kevin Osborne, who was a member of SICK at that time, and he said that had happened at that house to other investigators as well. So, but yeah, that's
Was it
the
just
first time.
male investigators, or was it both? Because was
I
there
don't
like,
know.
oh,
Yeah,
because
Todd just said other investigators had experienced it there in that house. I'm assuming they were male investigators, you know.
so leans towards possibly being a female spirit.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, we were in the kitchen of the old house, and there was 3 of us investigators standing shoulder to shoulder. And when it happened, it startled me, of course. But for a split second, I never thought anything about it. You know, I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with 2 other guys. Maybe one of their hands bumped me or something, you know. But as soon as it happened, one of the other investigators standing beside me said, "Oh my God, something just touched me on the leg." So he groped me and then got his leg as it was going by. So that was definitely an experience.
Definitely sounds like a female spirit that ain't seen a guy in a long time.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was definitely an experience that I won't forget.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to have that experience again.
My only response was, I said, "Well, I hope they were cute."
I mean, it might have been a blonde-headed chick, man.
I hope they were cute. Is all I can say about it.
But yeah, man, that's definitely a creepy experience when you feel something cold touch you and stuff, man. And have you actually heard one of your is your house actually haunted? Have you heard voices
No,
from
it's
your
not.
family or anything?
No, my house is not haunted. Thankfully.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to live in a haunted house.
I don't think it probably wouldn't bother me, but I would just soon it not be haunted.
As long as they're good spirits. Yeah. Yeah, man, there is definitely have you ever been investigation have you ever been on an investigation here in Eastern Kentucky?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Have you ever been on an investigation here in Eastern Kentucky?
I've never investigated in Knott County where you are. I never have. Johnson County is probably the closest um, that I've investigated there in Eastern Kentucky.
Really, what was going on there, man? Was that at the battlefield?
You know, it was the Coal Miners Museum, and I also did a cemetery there several years ago with the Johnson County Paranormal Research Team. I don't know that they're still together anymore. But we went to a cemetery there in Johnson County. I can't remember much about it, if we caught anything or not. This was like back in 2008, so I don't remember a whole lot about it.
Wow, man, that's been forever ago.
Yeah,
It don't seem like it's been that long, man. 2008 seems like it was just yesterday, man. But
I'm stuck in 2009, so
oh yeah, or 2000, man. That's why we are not doing video tonight, because we're stuck in 2000, can only do audio. We're stuck in the year 2000, man. Some people believe the world was going to end in 2000,
yeah.
which didn't make any sense.
Everybody thought, yeah, but everybody thought it was going to end.
Did you?
I'm sorry,
Did you think it was?
I didn't know. I didn't. Did I think it was going to end? No, because everybody was predicting it. And looking at it from a biblical standpoint, the Bible teaches that no man knows when it's going to be. So I didn't think it would, but I was expecting a big change of some sort, I guess you could say, but nothing major happened.
Yeah, man. And I don't know. Are you a big Kentucky fan?
Absolutely not.
You're not a Kentucky football fan, man?
I'm not a football fan at all.
Oh man. Well, the interview has ended. I want to thank you guys.
I'm not a sports fan at all, other than pro wrestling.
Oh well, maybe we can. I'm one of the biggest wrestling fans out there, so yeah.
Hey, I actually did a pro wrestling show in your hometown back around 2000, somewhere along in there.
You know John Noble?
I know John Noble really well.
Oh yeah, dude, he's one of the best people.
I did a pro wrestling show at the Hyman at the United County High School. It was around the year 2000. I had Andy Douglas, who was part of the Naturals on TNA Wrestling. He was on the show, and then Easy Money, who had just gotten released.
So
by
you know Kid Cash. You know Kid Cash.
Yeah,
I've interviewed him.
I want to say, I can't remember because this has been, like I said, this is 21 years ago. I want to say Kid Cash was on that show with Easy Money with us that night. I can't remember. I did have a copy of that show on video, and I loaned it to Andy Douglas, and I never did get it back. But I'm thinking that Kid Cash was on the show with us. But
Are you good friends with Easy Money?
No, I haven't. I've lost contact with him several years ago. But he did some shows for me when I was promoting pro wrestling, and of course, like I said, I got out of that business several years ago, and I lost contact with a lot of the guys.
Oh, is there any big name wrestler that you still talk to today?
Not really. Every now and then, Carl Anderson, who is now on AEW, and
oh man, you know him?
I know him. He used to wrestle for me before he was the Carl Anderson.
Do you think that he would do the podcast?
You can send him a message on Instagram. Maybe he will. He's a super
Tell him
guy.
I know you. Tell him I know you.
He's a super guy. He and I worked. He did a lot of shows for me back.
Wait,
in the
aren't
day.
they the Impact champions?
I think so. He actually got his start right here in this area. He was at the time he was going by the name Chad Too Bad. He got his start with the Northern Wrestling Federation in Cincinnati. He also worked at the same time. He worked for the Mountain Wrestling Association, which at the time was based in Georgetown, Kentucky. And then he also worked for me. And at the time I was doing shows in the more eastern parts of Kentucky. And so, yeah, I've worked with him a lot of times. Super guy. I think the world of Carl Anderson.
Yeah, man, I'm a big fan of him. I definitely know who he is. He is a part of the Being Elite on AEW, the Elite.
Right. Yeah, I don't watch AEW. Matter of fact, I had my TV cable disconnected a few weeks ago because it was just I was spending we were spending almost $170 a month for TV cable, and we really didn't watch it that much. So I don't even have access to AEW right now. I will eventually get something like YouTube TV or something like that soon so I can get back in the game. But about the only wrestling I watch these days is NWA, National Wrestling Alliance.
I've heard of it, yeah. NWA was a big wrestler. Do you know Chance Prophet?
I know Chance. Chance never did work for me. I know Chance, and he's a super guy. Last time I saw Chance was at an AEW show in Charleston, West Virginia. It was like one of the very first shows, and we went up there and we run into him in the lobby of the arena.
Super guy. I've interviewed him too, man. He's a heck of a guy.
He is. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, man. He's a heck of a wrestler as well. But anyways, I'll get off wrestling. We can talk about ghost hunting again.
Hey, we can talk about anything. We never did set the stage here as what the subject was going to be. So,
oh man, I literally interview UFO researchers, Bigfoot researchers, ghost hunters. Heck, 2 weeks I'm gonna be interviewing a psychic.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I interview political candidates, political people that are actually in office right now. And
don't box yourself. That's good because you're not boxing yourself in.
I've interviewed Joe Tedai. You know who Joe Tedai is from Discovery Show Dual Survival. I don't know if you ever seen that show.
I'm not familiar.
Oh yeah, that has 11,000 views on YouTube.
Well, this podcast right here is going to break all records. I'll just give you a heads up.
Oh yeah.
I'm dreaming too.
Hopefully it does, man. Hopefully it definitely does, man. Joe was just on HLN the other day.
So, Yeah, but what I started to say is don't box yourself in thinking you can only interview one type of guest.
Yeah,
Have a wide variety, you know.
absolutely. Just don't want to have liberals on that I'm good. I should not have said.
Yeah, that went your ratings down the tube.
No, I don't even care, man. They don't even watch anyways.
And don't even, and back to the same lines, don't. And just because you may have a Bigfoot researcher on as a guest doesn't mean you got to stick entirely to Bigfoot. You can talk about other things, you know.
Well, with the Bigfoot researcher, definitely want to talk about Bigfoot, man. Bigfoot's one of my favorite subjects. I love talking Bigfoot. I could talk Bigfoot. Bigfoot's probably one of my favorite topics to talk about, man. Even more than ghost hunting.
See, I've never really got into the whole Bigfoot thing. Do I believe they exist? Absolutely. But I look at them as more of an undiscovered species than I do a cryptid. And I just, for some reason, it just never did interest me that much. Mothman, on the other thing, I have a huge interest in Mothman. Do I know everything about Mothman? Absolutely not. Do I know what I can't talk. I'm getting tongue tied. Do I know what Mothman was? No, I do not. But I'm a huge Mothman enthusiast. I've been to Point Pleasant researching it numerous times. In fact, I was a guest speaker at the Mothman Festival up there for like 3 years in a row. But I'm a huge Mothman, and that's probably the only cryptid that I really am interested in that much.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of evidence of Mothman, and I've actually had the guy that makes the costumes for the museum on.
Cool.
Yeah, his name is Andrew Betty.
I can hook you up with a couple of guests sometime who actually
Carl Anderson.
Well, no, I'm talking about Mothman.
Oh man, you gotta hook up. You gotta hook me up. Carl Anderson. Gotta have him on, man. The Impact Tag Team Champion.
Do you have Instagram?
Yeah.
Send him a message on Instagram. He's not on Facebook anymore. Send him a message on Instagram. Tell him I told you to call or to contact, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean Carl Anderson, man. I mean I've watched him since his New Japan days. Watched him on WWE. Watched him on Impact, and he does Impact and AEW now.
Hey, remind me when we end tonight, or shoot me a message sometime, and I'll send you a picture of him and I together before he was Carl Anderson.
Yeah. He definitely is one of the his tag team is one of the best tag teams in the whole entire world.
They've been around, that's for sure.
Anderson and Gallows, the Good Brothers.
Yep.
That's what they go by now, the Good Brothers.
Right.
Yeah. They're part of the elite, man. I watch AEW too much. Yes, I
do. My favorite on AEW, and don't tell Carl I said this, but my favorite on AEW is probably Sammy Guevara.
Oh yeah, he's good, but my favorite on there probably, man, that's hard. Man, that's MJF. MJF.
And don't get me wrong, I Sammy is my favorite, but at the same time, he makes me mad. I mean,
I don't know if you know, but he actually just won the title. He's a TNT champion now.
Yeah, I saw that. But he, not so much now because he's more of the baby face. But when AEW first started, he was doing the heel thing, and he was going out there and beating these guys' brains out. And then 30 minutes later, he's doing a YouTube video with them. And I'm like, come on, dude. You're killing the business. And of course, the business has been exposed for years now anyway. But still, don't keep adding to it and making it even worse. But it's not such a big deal now because he's more of the baby face than he is the heel.
I do have to ask you one thing about your booking. Have you ever doing booking for shows and promoting stuff? Have you ever had any dealings with Jim Cornette?
No, I did not. Of course, growing up as a kid, I watched Cornette week in, week out. I've met Jim. True story. We were at Scarefest 2009. I came around a corner and we almost collided with Jim. He was coming around the corner. I was coming around the corner at the same time. We just almost crashed into each other. And but I've met Jim a couple times. Nice guy, but I've never worked with him.
He definitely wouldn't like you if he found out you like Matt Beth.
Yeah,
He would never talk to you.
yeah, I've met Jim a few times. Super nice guy, but I never did work with him when I was in the wrestling business.
Have you ever listened to his podcast? He absolutely cannot stand Trump or his.
I don't make it a habit of listening to his podcast. I've listened to bits and pieces of one here and there, but he's too foul mouthed for me, just to be honest about it. And he rarely has anything nice to say about anybody, and so this is not my thing. I mean, if it works for him, great, and I don't think any less of him for that. But it's just not my thing.
Yeah, I understand that. And have you ever thought about creating your own podcast?
It's funny. Several years ago, another paranormal investigator, Stan Howard, and I talked about it. We even come up with a show name and everything. We just never did follow through with it. I'm when it comes to technology, I'm a technological idiot. I wouldn't even know how to start to do a podcast. So probably a good thing that we didn't follow through with it.
Yeah, you definitely have to be good with technology to do a podcast, man. It's everything computer with doing this.
Yeah, I'm a technological idiot. Even on paranormal investigations, the basic equipment I'm fine with. Some of this new stuff, I'm like, I don't have a clue. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm a technological idiot, and I'll be the first to tell you that.
Yeah. The only thing that bothers me in the paranormal world is these YouTube channels that every time a celebrity dies, they act like they caught the voice on video.
I know that's pathetic, to be honest with you.
Like I seen some idiot put out that they had the voice of that Gabby Petito girl. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen that, but I remember
it's a girl that got murdered.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. But along those same lines, I saw a video the other day of some other celebrity, I can't remember who, that had recently passed, and they were claiming to have the DVP or something of them. I'm like, come on, people. Stuff like that is what gives the paranormal field a bad name.
Yeah, why are these celebrities going to talk to you? You literally live in your mama's basement eating Cheetos every day and looking at a computer screen.
And I mean, it's just, I shake my head at some of the crap that goes on in the paranormal field. I'll be honest with you. Some of it just turns my stomach. I'll be honest.
Yeah. There's definitely, I think money. There's some people that are all about it for money.
Oh yeah.
Some big name people too.
Oh yeah. I mean,
have you ever met Aaron from Ghost Adventures? He's one of the nicest people you'll meet.
Aaron, I've met all the Ghost Adventures guys, and all of them are super nice guys. I don't agree with a lot of the crap they do on the show, but away from the set, they are super nice guys. They're all very knowledgeable on the paranormal field. But I just don't agree with some of the crap that they pull on the shows.
There's definitely some stuff on that show that you can tell are fake.
Well, here's the thing. Not only that show, but pretty much all of the paranormal shows are geared toward entertainment. They're there for the ratings, and it's sad to see some of these credible paranormal investigators go down the path of entertainment. And but when it comes to any of the shows, they all have that entertainment element about them. Now, sometimes it's not the group's fault. The group will go out there and actually do a credible investigation. And then when the editors get a hold of it and piece it all together, it ruins it. And
Yep.
then you got some groups out there they'll go out there and do just anything for fame and ratings, and that's not good.
Absolutely, man. Have you ever talked to a psychic that you can tell this woman or man is full of shit?
When it comes to psychics, I was always very, very skeptical.
There's some of them they're in for it for the money, but like this psychic that I got coming on in a couple weeks, she's very credible.
I was very, very skeptical. Matter of fact, I didn't believe in any of them, to be honest with you. And in 2008, I think it was, we were investigating a place in central Kentucky. I'm not going to mention the name of the business because they don't want it mentioned anymore. But the day before the investigation,
Does it start with a B?
No. A few days before the investigation, the property owner messaged me and asked, said, "Joe, I've got a nephew that's psychic. Do you mind if he comes on the investigation?" And my first thought to myself was, "Oh God, here we go." And but I wasn't about to tell the property owner who they could and could not allow on their property. I mean, that was just be ridiculous to even try that.
Yeah.
So I said, that's fine. That's okay. You tell them to come on. So the next night rolls around, we were setting up and everything, and I just totally blow this guy off. I mean, I didn't even speak to him. I did speak to him. "Hi, how you doing?" That was the end of that. I blew him off the entire night. We did the investigation, and we started packing up to go home. And he started going around the room giving all the investigators a private psychic reading. And he came around, he said, "All right, Joe, you're the only one left." And I thought, "Oh God, here we go." And he told me things about me that absolutely nobody knew. And I'm like, whoa, this guy's legit. And it was getting to the point. I'm like, dude, I was thinking to myself, dude, shut up. You're starting to, before you say something that nobody else needs to know, and but he was very credible, very spot on. One of the things he pointed out was, I still am to some degree, but not as much as I used to be. I used to be really heavily interested in the Native American culture. And I mean, I loved it still to this day. I love Native American music and that kind of thing. But he said, "Joe, what is it with you and Native Americans?" And I said, "Why do you ask?" He said, "Because I see Native American spirits all around you." And and I explained to him my interest in obsession with the Native American culture. And so, but yeah, he was awesome. Sadly enough, 2 years later, he died from a ruptured appendix. But he was the most credible psychic I've ever dealt with. Chip Coffey was another credible one. We filmed an episode for Paranormal State back when they were on A&E. And Chip was there, and Chip was just, he was spot on most everything. A lot of people are down on Chip for one reason or another, but I can tell you that Chip is as credible as you can get.
Wow, man. Has there been, speaking, you've done shows for channels and stuff for ghost hunting, ain't you?
Yeah, I have filmed for A&E. For Paranormal State. Sadly enough, we drove 10 hours one way to the spot to film, and they left us on the cutting room floor. We didn't make the show. However, there is a video on YouTube with us with Ryan Buell of the show, the host of the show. That's on YouTube. And I've also filmed, for my mind just kind of went blank. It's as far as the call letters go. It was a TV station in the Paintsville, Kentucky area. Did a TV special called Haunted Van Leer for them many years ago, and I think it's that I've also been on on a few newscasts, not several, but a few newscasts.
Wow, man, have you so did A&E pay you to go to that, or you did it all
No.
yourself?
There was no money at all. There's no money in real television, reality television.
And then they didn't even let you get on TV. Wow, man.
Yeah. I learned my lesson there. I turn down TV offers all the time now because to me, my credibility as a paranormal investigator is more important than 15 minutes of fame. I get an email now about appearing on a TV show. Sometimes I'll pass it on to somebody else. Most of the time, it just goes in the trash. I don't even look at it.
Oh, really? Is there any big shows you don't have to say the names that you've passed up?
I have passed up My Ghost Story. I have passed up Paranormal Witness. Those are two that comes to mind right off.
What is your ghost story, by the way?
My Ghost Story, I really don't have one. I've always had an interest in paranormal.
Oh, I thought you said it was your ghost story. My bad.
No, the TV show was called My Ghost Story.
Oh, I've never even heard. Was it around before I was even born?
No, it's still out. It's I think it was. I want to say it was on either Discovery Channel or maybe whatever that other channel is, Destination America.
Yeah.
I think it's on one of those.
Oh, really, man? Wow. That's interesting, man. But have you actually ever seen an apparition?
I have. It's very, very rare that you see an apparition.
I never have, man. So the fact that you've seen one is definitely it's definitely.
We actually, when I was with Kentucky Shadow Chasers, we caught one on video at the Diamond Point in Harrodsburg. When we did Bobby Mackey's Music World in 2000.
Oh God, man, that place is insane.
I disagree with you on that, but we did capture. It wasn't me. It was some.
You don't think that place is haunted, then?
I think it's haunted. It's not what TV cracks it up to be.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of guts to go there.
I've been there twice. Been there twice.
Have you been around the well?
Yeah, and what I was trying to say was, some friends of mine that went with me set up some cameras around the well, and they caught an apparition on video there around the well. But as for me personally, I've been there twice, and out of 2 investigations, I've come out with a total of 4 EVPs out of 2 investigations. Is it haunted? Yes. Is it what TV cracks it up to be? No. The same can be said about any location, really, though. Look at Waverly Hills. Waverly Hills is arguably the most haunted place in America and perhaps the world. I've been to Waverly Hills twice. I'm getting ready to go again in November. Out of the 2 investigations that I've done there, I've come out with 2 EVPs. That's it.
Wow. So
most of the haunted places are not what they are cracked up to be.
Wow, man, that's insane. There probably is thousands of spirits at the Waverly place, though.
Oh, no doubt. And I have friends, and I don't mean that in a bad way toward toward Waverly. I mean, it's just like that with any of them. But now, I've done it twice. I've got a total of 2 EVPs out of 2 investigations. But I have friends that have gone down there. They've caught apparitions in photos. So friends of mine were there not long after I was, back in 2008. We didn't get it. We got 1 EVP. And they went back. They went a few weeks after we were there, and man, the activity was off the hook. They were seeing apparitions with their naked eye, and it was just off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe you're gonna get more activity when the weather is a certain type of way. Like with a full moon, you're gonna get more activity.
Oh, here, of course, I'm always open-minded when it comes to the paranormal, and I'm always wanting to try new things. Here's my thoughts when it comes to a lot of these haunted places. This is starting to become my thought. You go in and do an investigation, chances are you're not going to get anything. But if you just go in and you sit down and observe and just listen with your ear, listen and observe instead of trying to actually do an active investigation, chances are you're going to have a lot more activity. And I was talking to Jason Harrod, who is who was just recently resigned from Waverly Hills. He was in charge of the paranormal investigations there. He's the one that brought that up. He said Waverly is more alive if you come in and just observe than it is if you actually go through and do an investigation.
Yeah. Isn't there supposed to be something creepy there that like gets on the walls and stuff?
Yeah, it's called the Creeper. He's supposed to be on the third floor. One thing that we did have that happened at Waverly this last time we were there, back in August, and it wasn't me, it was Jeff Stanford or Jeff
Oh, so
Sanford.
you've been there almost. I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad. But you said that was almost like that's been a month ago. Wow, man.
Yeah, I was there August I can't remember the date. I want to say it was in August, but I can't remember the exact date now. But we were there. Anyway, Jeff Sanford, he set up a video, and he actually caught a spirit playing with a ball on camera. You see the ball, it comes out from around the piece of equipment there. It comes out from around it, goes across the hall, and then it comes back and goes right back to where Jeff had it, around that on the back side of that piece of equipment.
Wow, man.
That was pretty interesting.
That's insane, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Can't believe you caught something to that effect, like that big of.
Yep. It's on the Real Paranormal in Kentucky Facebook group. It's on there. I think it's on. I think he added it as a comment on another post, but it's on there somewhere if you want to check it out.
Wow, man, that's definitely insane, brother. Man, I tell you,
You asked me earlier if I investigated in Eastern Kentucky. I haven't investigated anything in Knott County, but I just talked to you off a while before we started recording. I talked to you about one location. I want you to check into, and I'm not going to mention the names. I don't want to get sued, but another place that I have interest in, and I'm not saying that it is or is not haunted, but is the Blue Moon Cafe up there in Knott County.
Oh God, there's a lot of people that go in there and like party and stuff, is what the rumor is.
Well, like I said, I'm not going to say that it is or isn't haunted. I haven't been there, but the rumor around the internet is that it is.
I've never been there.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it's the Blue Moon Cafe, and it allegedly Charles Manson lived there at one time when he was a baby.
It ain't allegedly. He was born there.
Yeah, well, there's some discrepancy about it.
I have some pretty credible people that have great evidence that he was born there.
Well, I mean, I believe he was. I've seen newspaper clippings about him living there. Charles admitted to living there, but he was only like 3 years old. His mother worked in the bar downstairs, and they lived upstairs. Anyway, I've always had an interest in that property ever since I've learned that he lived there. I don't agree with what Manson did by any means. He was a very evil person, but at the same time, he's a very intriguing person. And a lot of people don't know this about Charles Manson, and I don't mean to get off on him, but his ties to Kentucky they run deep. He lived there in Knott County for a while. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. His mom is from right here in Moorhead, where I'm from. His grandparents were from one set of them was from here in Moorhead, and the rest of them were from the Olive Hill area. Numerous sets of grandparents of his are buried in Olive Hill. He's got one set of grandparents that are buried in Ashland. His dad is buried in Catlettsburg, and he has some grandparents also buried in Pikeville. So his Kentucky roots run deep. But anyway, yeah, I would be interested in the Blue Moon Cafe, and maybe not so much as from the paranormal aspect, but just from the history aspect of it. That
So
property
you're gonna buy it?
I would love to buy it. I was going to say it's for sale. I think someone would go in there and buy that and turn it into a bed and breakfast museum type thing, similar to what Jailer's Inn is. I think they could make some money with that. But having said that, it's not going to be me because I live 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away.
It's not going to be easy because that place ain't been lived in for probably 100 years.
Yeah, I've seen videos
Not
of it.
100 years. I mean, like probably
Yeah.
like 50 to 60 years.
Right. I've seen videos of it, from inside of it, from 2018, 2019. And yeah, there's some damage to it. It's going to take some work. But the biggest thing that I've seen is a good cleaning would solve a lot of it. Just a good thorough cleaning that would help it tremendously. There's a lot of debris in there, a lot of trash for people to just vandalize it basically. If you would go in there and clean it up, that's 9/10 of your battle right there. But I think that there's an opportunity there. Somebody would jump on that. I really believe that.
Thing is, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's what, 6 miles out of town, something like that.
It's in Mousy, Kentucky. It's in Mousy here in Knott County. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it. I read it was like 6 miles from Hyman. So,
Well,
but
there ain't. Well, Hyman's in the middle of nowhere too, but that's a different story.
hey, don't be knocking Hyman. I like Hyman. I haven't been to Hyman in 20 years.
That's my hometown, man. I still live here. I love Hyman, but there ain't nothing here.
I don't think I've been to Hyman since I did the wrestling show there.
I ain't never leaving Hyman, by the way. Well, I don't live in Hyman, but I live in Knott County.
All right.
Hyman's like 3 minutes away though.
But anyway, back to that. I think somebody would buy that. They could make some money there, because even though it is in a bad location, you got your paranormal people that would rent it out to investigate it. You got your history buffs. You got your the Charles Manson people would visit it. And believe it or not, he does have a following still. So I think they can make some money there with it.
I'm gonna tell you somebody that doesn't want to buy, and that's me. I don't want it.
Oh
man, definitely do not want that. And no, I will never ghost hunt that place.
Yep.
I don't know why anybody would want to ghost hunt that place. So somebody does own that property still?
Yeah, it's for sale. When I say that, like I said, I'm not saying that it is or isn't haunted. I'm just making that perfectly clear. I don't want a lawsuit.
I've never heard of any paranormal stuff going on there. I really haven't.
I've seen some sources online that state that it is haunted. But having said that, if it is, I don't think it's haunted.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to talk over you, man.
I'm not saying that it is haunted by Charles Manson because he was only 3 years old when he lived there. Obviously, he's not. If he's out haunting places, I'm sure he's not going to come to that place to haunt it. Okay, but you got to think it's an old bar. Think of all the bar fights that have happened over the years. People, the stabbings, the shootings, and all that normally accompanies a place like that. So, if it's haunted, it's not obviously it's not Charles Manson that's haunting. It's probably some of the other murders and stuff that's happened there.
I've never heard of a murder happening there, so
I can't find any information about it online other than Charles' affiliation with it.
Yeah,
I have actually. I'm a history buff. Love history.
Hey, if you're a history buff, then why do you support Matt Bevin, man? And I know you believe in time travel too, and you actually just came back from 2000.
I'm a history buff, but I would love to see some photos of the Blue Moon Cafe when it was actually a bar, restaurant, whatever it was, dance hall. I would love to see some pictures of it when it was actually in use.
I can probably get you that actually.
I would as a historian, I would love to see it.
I'm friends with a couple local. I'm not gonna say names. Some local politicians here, so that are currently in office. So maybe and you can get them pictures at the local place. So they're supposed to give them to you.
Cool.
You want me to see if I can get you one?
I'm sorry?
I can definitely see if I can get you one for sure.
I appreciate that.
I honestly couldn't tell you where it's at, man. Honestly, I really have never been past it. I've never seen it before.
Well,
it's on the whole entire other side of the county though.
Right.
It's like a
Yes.
45-minute drive from me.
Goodness.
It's in the middle of nowhere, brother. Yeah, man. There's definitely a lot of there definitely is a lot of haunted places here in Eastern Kentucky. And not saying that that place is haunted because you don't. I've never heard any reports of it being haunted.
You know, and sadly, some of the most haunted places out there are probably unknown to a lot of people.
Actually, I've heard. I'm not. There is a bunch of like old buildings that is haunted that I've heard, but I've not heard that one.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say any names though.
My idea of a people ask if I could investigate anywhere, where would it be? The ideal haunting for me would be an old abandoned house, miles up a holler with no other houses around it, and that's allegedly haunted. Nobody around. I just like to go in and maybe not investigate, just go in and crash for a night, see what happens.
Oh man, you wouldn't have no toilet or anything.
Do what?
You wouldn't have no running toilet or anything.
I know it, but that to me that would be the ideal haunting. Hey, if nature calls, you can always go out behind a tree somewhere.
Yeah, but the ghost might say something to you. Don't take a number 2 on my property. It's possible, man.
No, I was just kidding about that, but I would. I mean, I would much rather investigate an old abandoned house. Like I said, the ideal place for me would be an old abandoned house, miles up a holler, when no neighbors around and nobody's been to in years. That's allegedly haunted.
Wow, man, absolutely. That would be a lot of fun, man. I've never heard really abandoned place around here haunted. It's mostly houses where people live.
Right.
But I haven't heard. I don't know if people are too scared as far as judgment they'll get if they say their place is haunted. But I haven't heard somebody tell me their place is haunted in probably like forever, man.
Well, here's the thing with that. You're in the Bible Belt, and I'm in the Bible Belt. People look at the paranormal as being witchcraft, part of the occult. They want no part of it. And if they find out you're a part of it, they'll shun you. I have been asked to leave the church before because I was a paranormal investigator.
Really?
Yeah. So it's because of that people just don't want to talk about it in this area. Now it's a little more acceptable now than it was 30 years ago. But because of all the paranormal TV shows, but even with that, here in Eastern Kentucky, and parts of other parts of Appalachia area, no, it's still taboo. You don't deal with it. If you are, you're a devil worshiper, you're a witch, you believe in witchcraft, you're part of the occult and whatever. If these people would just open their Bible, it's right there in front of them. Jesus, when he went to his disciples walking on the water, the Bible says they thought he was a ghost. So, and if it had been wrong, Jesus would have told them. He would have rebuked them right there.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not even gonna comment on that. I know not to comment on anything religious. I'm not commenting on anything religious.
Yeah, I was very active in church for years. I mean, I was in church a minimum of 3 times a week. I was a gospel music singer. I've shared the stage with legends in gospel music. I've professionally recorded 3 gospel music projects. But, it's some of these people in church, they just blow my mind. They were they're so narrow-minded.
These preachers that just worship money and stuff, most of them do.
Yeah, it's just it just blows my mind, some of the narrow-mindedness that goes on in church.
Yeah. I mean, some of these preachers worship money and all that stuff, but I won't get on.
Yeah, let want to get off of that subject.
Yeah, I'll be here all night. And then let's just say, man, some of you people are idiots.
Oh boy.
Oh man, I tell it like it is, man.
Yeah, I do too, and that's why a lot of people don't like me. But it's just I'm blunt. I'm to the point. I don't sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I think. A lot of times I'll speak before I think. And
get Matt Bevin on here. That'd be awesome.
I love Matt Bevin. Now I know you've harped on him all night, but I love Matt Bevin.
No, I'm honestly kind of just joking. I don't hate the guy.
Here's the thing about Matt Bevin. Oh, you want to keep bringing it up?
I think if he kept his mouth shut, he would be in office right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. Here's the thing that got me about Matt Bevin. When he ran against Mitch McConnell in 2013, I had never heard of Matt Bevin. But at the time, I wasn't too happy with Senator McConnell.
Oh, God. You want to talk about somebody that I can't stand? I would rather have Bevin in there than McConnell. God.
So anyway, I got behind Matt and I supported him. I became his county coordinator for his campaign here. I met Matt during that campaign, and the thing that impressed me about him most, he came up for a Christmas parade here in Morehead that year, and I walked up on the conversation that he was having with his wife and about something, and she looked at him and said, "Just pray about it." And that spoke to me right there. They were so sincere in their faith. I said, he's legit, because they didn't know I was around. I just walked up on the conversation, and she was telling them whatever it was to just pray about it. Impressed the daylights out of me. And I've been a Matt Bevin fan ever since. I thought he was a great governor. He did a lot for Kentucky. I was a part of his gubernatorial campaign for the first time. Second time I voted for him, but I just didn't get involved in the campaign because I was too busy with work and all. But I'm a huge fan. And like I said, I got some other friends that are running for governor in 2023, but I'm hoping Matt will throw his hat in the ring.
Yeah.
And rumor has it he's considering it. I don't know if that's true or not.
He don't even live here, does he?
Lives in Louisville.
Oh, really? That clown still lives in Kentucky?
Hey.
I'm joking.
I'm going to take you out behind the woodshed here for the night's over.
Matt Bevin is an idiot.
Hey.
But man, speaking of idiots, never mind. I'm not even going to speak on. But
now you're calling me an idiot.
Well, I mean, if you go for Matt Bevin, you must not be too intelligent.
Oh gosh! Just for the record, folks, he and I are joking around with each other. We've been harassing each other for like 3 days online.
Yeah, and I'm joking about Matt Bevin too a little bit. If he wants to, I would love to interview Matt Bevin, especially if he runs against Andy Beshear. I would fully support him. If he won the nomination,
right?
Because Andy Beshear is I'm not even gonna go there, and I'm not joking about Andy Beshear. Andy Beshear is an idiot. Anyways, man, we've talked about a lot of stuff, man, and what is the most haunted place around the Morehead area that you've been to?
Surprisingly, I've not investigated anything around Morehead.
Wow, man, that's your hometown.
Yep, there's nothing here. All the hauntings associated with Morehead State University, most of them, like I said, are folklore. There's nothing to them.
And there is a woman that got murdered. Am I allowed to bring that up?
Yeah, that's public record. I sent you the newspaper clipping about it. One of the alleged hauntings at Morehead State University was supposed to be a girl. The paranormal rumor is she was her name was Penelope or something like that, and that wasn't even the girl's name at all. But anyway, I'll just pull up the article here. I sent it to you. Let me get it pulled back up here. A girl by the name of Dora Dolores Ball she fell from the 9th floor of a dormitory at Morehead State University, where she was a student. And she received head injuries and abdominal injuries, fractures of the right arm and leg when she fell from a dormitory window. And that's how that rumor of that haunting got started. And somehow the name got changed over the years.
So did somebody ever get arrested for murdering her?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think. I think it was probably more of an accident, because it leads to, that she fell from the window. It didn't say she was pushed or anything.
I've heard from girls that live in the dormitory back in the day, like back in like 2008 or something, that you can hear a woman scream sometimes in the dormitory. That's just what I've heard. I'm not saying it's true or anything.
Here's the thing about folklore and
Have you
legend.
heard the same thing though?
Yeah. Here's the thing.
I've actually heard it with my own ears. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Behind every urban legend, there's a grain of truth. Just like this haunting at Morehead State, it actually, there was a girl that fell to her death there. The same way, the same thing that goes for, and you may not be familiar with it, the Bethel Hill haunting in Olive Hill, Kentucky. There's a grain of
truth. Is that on the way to that place where?
It's outside of Olive Hill, a few miles. But
okay, I'll make sure not to go there.
Yeah, look up the Bethel Hill haunting, but there's a grain of truth that there was a girl that was murdered in the cemetery. Back in the early, I forgot what year it was, like 100 years ago or something. The Bloody Rock in Olive Hill, Kentucky. There's a grain of truth behind that. A man killed his niece on the rock back in 1915. And
Olive Hill ain't even that big, man. What's all this violence going on there?
I'm sorry?
I said Olive Hill. Olive Hill's a small town. What's going on there? That's a lot of murders.
Being the historian that I am, I'm actually writing a book right now about some crimes going on here in Morehead. Morehead is just one town over from Olive Hill. This area was very, very violent back in the day. And surprisingly, I knew, every town has their violent episodes here and there and all. But this area was extremely violent, and I didn't realize just how violent it was until I started doing some research for my book. And I'm like, golly, the old West had nothing on this place, So yeah, and then that goes for Olive Hill too, because like I said, we're 15 miles apart. So it was just a very violent area back in the day, back in the 1800s and early 1900s.
And was there a lot of deaths because of affairs and stuff?
Oh, probably. Interesting story, and I don't want to say too much because I'm writing a book on the subject. But one of the
we want all the information about what you're writing down, each paragraph, each word, each name. We want it all, man.
One of the subjects of my book was actually a deputy sheriff at one time. He was a deputy sheriff, and then he goes rogue and he kills a guy over a woman, and then he serves prison time, and then he comes back and he's a sheriff again, or deputy sheriff again. And he ends up getting killed in a moonshine raid. But yeah, that was, like I said, he killed a man over a woman.
That's kind of the karma type deal right there.
Yep.
So why was he allowed to be sheriff again if he killed a man?
I wondered the same thing. I'm sure that wouldn't happen today. I'm sure there's laws that prevent that from happening today.
Oh, was this like in 1800s?
This was back in 1920. He was killed in 1924. So back in the day, I'm sure the laws were a whole lot different. Pretty much law enforcement, they weren't governed. They did what they wanted to do. They were their own, they controlled themselves. They policed themselves, I guess you could say. But yeah, it wouldn't fly today. That's for sure.
Absolutely not, man. I mean, there's just a lot of bad stuff going on everywhere, man. But it seems like it was worse around here back in the day.
Yep, It's I know you hear, like I said, here in the Moorhead area, it was extremely violent in the late 1800s up through, I'm in the 1930s now researching for my book, and even up through the early 30s so far. It's been a violent area.
Wow. Well, man, definitely want to appreciate you coming on, man. This has been the interview with paranormal investigator Joe Clark. And I want to thank him for doing the interview. I want to thank you guys for subscribing. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. Y'all have a good night and God bless.